Imagine this, you wake up on the 5th of November 2015, Black Ops 3 has just dropped and you're hyped to jump on and play the new zombies map, Shadows of Evil. The squad gets on, you play for hours, you all love the map and life is good. Now imagine it's 8 years later, you're still booting up Black Ops 3 Zombies and Shadows of Evil, but this time you're playing with mods because Zombies has been and still is in a state of crisis, the squad no longer gets on, and quite frankly every day is pain. So hi, welcome to Shadows of Evil, and today we're going to be attempting to beat this Easter egg using MW2 guns. Look, Shadows of Evil, incredible map and we all love it, but if I'm to be honest, I kinda hate the Black Ops 3 guns. They're stale, lifeless, and straight up just boring weapons. Now, that might just be down to the fact that I've been using them for the past 8 years, and well, do anything for that long and it's bound to get boring someday. But you know what weapons aren't boring and are full of life? MW2 guns. Unfortunately, there isn't a mod for the MW2 2022 guns, or if there is, I just couldn't find it. So we're going to be using the next best version, the original 2009 catalogue of weapons. I won't lie, this first attempt is honestly a throwaway. I spawn in and decide to just shoot the Shadow Man, only to then realise that apparently the M9 is stupidly powerful against him, and 3 bullets later it's round 15 and I'm in Panicville. This obviously wasn't going to go well, and almost immediately after all of the zombies spawned, I died. So, attempt 2. This attempt, I also tried to do something a little different. With this mod, there is an option when loading in to have timed gameplay, and what this does is continuously have zombies spawn, and also have the round go up without needing to kill zombies. Pretty much just makes everything harder, because, you know, why not? So I load in, and get into beast mode, and get things opened up and turned on. However, upon return to normal mode, it's round 3, and I am once again on the panic train, but thankfully, I opened up the shotgun warbite in front of Nero's, which was the Spaz 12, and it proceeded to save my life. From here I get quick revive, and I also get a pack-a-punch drop, which I didn't know was a thing until I saw it, but you know, who's honestly going to be passing up a free pack-a-punch? I mean, come on. On round 6 and only 4 minutes into the run, I get Nero's Gateworm. I also bought stamina up as this mod does remove the perk limit. After getting the first Gateworm, I headed off to the waterfront to get the second, but not before buying the MP5K, as I needed some points. This was a horrible decision and it got me downed. Definitely the gun's fault and not all mine for running into a bunch of zombies point blank. To make things even better, the first Magua of the game showed up pretty much straight after I revived. Thankfully, the upgraded shotgun is insane and took him out with ease. After taking down the Magua, I bought myself the AK-47 and got everything in order for me to grab the second Gateworm. I can't lie, I was a little worried at this point. Round 12, 10 minutes in, and I was only now just getting the second Gateworm. I knew if I didn't start moving through the map, and pretty quickly at that, I'd be in some trouble. So I grabbed the second Gateworm and got to work on acquiring the third. It was round 14 when I eventually got the third Gateworm, but things were looking good, and shortly after the fourth and final Gateworm was mine. Round 18 and almost 20 minutes later, Pack-a-Punch was finally open. I got the AK upgraded and began working on the next step. That was until a Magua spawned and proceeded to abuse me in a corner, and with that came the end of that attempt. I wasn't done though. I had 2 pretty strange first attempts, if you can even call them that. So, for the third go around, I decided to just do one normal run and see how it goes. So we load in, get into beast mode and do what we need to do. From here I get myself quick revive and I opted to buy the EBR, which was insane. I mean, you'd hope so considering it's a sniper, but you know, you never know. Nero's Gateworm was completed by the end of round 2. From here I focused on getting the shield and the rest of the Gateworms. I headed down to the waterfront, grabbed the shield parts, and by the end of round 4, the second Gateworm was mine. It's safe to say that when you don't have constant hell surrounding you, this gets a little bit easier. Round 6 and the third Gateworm is acquired. It was also now that I swapped out the AK for the TAR-21. I'd already used the AK for a good bit and honestly just fancied spicing things up a bit. By round 10, I had the last and final Gateworm, and Pack-a-Punch was now open. With the easy part done, it was now time to start the main Easter egg. First, I need to get the apothecant egg, which meant we need to take a few trips on the train. I say a few because my 4 brain cells always forget what direction and side these symbols are on, but after a few minutes I get it figured out. Only to then enter incorrectly back at the wall, and now we have to wait another round. So with the egg acquired, the following round we get to work on charging it. First we need to feed it souls, which is actually pretty easy, and I managed to get 2 of the charges complete in a single round. Round 14 was a bug round, which meant the egg couldn't be charged, but I did use the time instead to go and build the shield. Round 15 we get the egg fully charged, but before placing it back in the altar, I spun the box a few times, and the only gun I genuinely wanted was the AA-12, and lo and behold, after just a couple of spins, out it pops. With the egg charged, we get our sword, and then shortly after I get the AA-12 pack-a-punched. And when I say this is one of the most broken guns I've ever used in zombies, I kinda mean it. A 100 round magazine and it's fully automatic, like what the hell? The next step is to basically just go and kill a bunch of Margwars that spawn at certain points around the map. Annoyingly, you can only do 1 a round, so on round 16, we start with Nero's Margwar location, as I do find it to be the easiest. Round 17, we head down to the Ruby Rabbit and get started on Jackie's. This time there is 2 Margwars that spawn, but I have like literally the most broken gun ever and they stand no chance. Round 18 and the next pair of Margwars are up. This time things don't go exactly my way and I end up taking it down, but just as I go down I managed to kill the final Margwar, so we're all good. The worst part about taking it down was the fact I was now AA-12less, as it was my mule kick gun. But the next round I do manage to get myself the striker. Not as good as the AA-12, but you know, still pretty decent. From here, things only get worse for me, as when I'm at Pack-a-Punch, I end up taking another down. This time, as I'm leaving, I jump over the gap, but a zombie has other ideas and just blocks me, making me fall to my death. Luckily this time, I only lost the EBR and was able to keep a hold of my shotgun. Oh yeah, I also had the ACR, which turned out to be incredible. After those 2 downs, I got to work on finishing up this step. I headed over to the Burlesque and got the final 2 Margwars taken care of. Or at least that's what I thought. You may remember from earlier when I took that first down that I killed the second Margwar as I downed. Well, turns out that didn't count and it took me way too long to figure that out. But by the end of round 21, all of the Margwars had been killed, like actually this time had been killed. All I now needed to do was get my upgraded sword, go touch a book, and we'd finally be onto the last step before the boss fight. But before I did that, I thought I'd try my luck at the box once more, just in case I got lucky enough to get the AA-12. And after many spins, I finally got it back. From here, I went and got my sword. I then flipped the round just to get some extra points for Pack-a-Punch, which probably wasn't the greatest idea considering my next stop was Nero's room, and that's not exactly the most comfortable spot to be in, especially once you cross the 20s. But I survived, touched the book, and then got the AA-12 upgraded. It was now time for the one step in this Easter egg that I absolutely despise, the flag step, where you have to escort a flag throughout the entire map multiple times, all whilst being attacked by endless waves of meatballs and the Shadow Man. But this time, I had 2 absolutely busted shotguns that would carry me through this. That was at least what I kept telling myself. This step started off a little shaky as I still had a Margwar chasing me when I put down the first flag. Won't lie, this led to me very nearly screwing this up immediately, but with a lot of panicking and blasting from the AA-12, I managed to take down the big guy and keep the flag in one piece. The second area was much easier, although I did almost take it down as I ran the flag to the altar. 1 flag done, 3 to go. For the second run, I went to the waterfront. I can't lie, I hate this one more than any of the others. I don't know why, but this one is just cursed for me, but we make it through the first placement, and admittedly, the harder of the 2. The second thankfully goes by pretty quickly, and before I know it, we have 2 of the 4 flags done. Jackie's was up next, and this first flag placement was a doddle. I think this one is by far the easier to get through. Unfortunately, I can't say the same thing about the second area that you have to defend the flag in. This genuinely has me sweating almost every time I do this one, and the constant spinning around you have to do to ensure the entire area is covered is a nightmare. What made it worse as well was my shield broke here, which I won't lie, made me panic way more than it should have. But luckily I placed the shield right next to the Ruby Rabbit, meaning I get it back pretty quickly, and with that we have 3 of the 4 flags done. Now the final flag was a bit of a weird one, as it was now that I realized the pathing was a little broken broken as to where to place the flags for the defense wave, so I basically just had to run around the entire map until I found 2 spots for the flag. The first was over by the Ruby Rabbit, which went surprisingly well, and the second was right behind the boxing ring, which also went well, and soon after we were 4 for 4 on the flags and it was time for the boss fight. Thankfully the boss fight on Shadows is the easiest part of the entire Easter egg, which also means my 4 poor brain cells are just one step closer to never having to worry about doing this again. We load into the fight and straight away I have a bunch of Mogwais chasing me. I deal with them and now I need to activate all 4 statues. We get the last one activated and start blasting the boss until he's over the summoning key. Shortly later he's in place and we get him turned into mincemeat and it's done. Shadows of Evil beaten with MW2 guns. Also, if you're wondering, you don't get a cutscene when you beat it solo, but other than that, we're all done. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.